Last week, Duke Mackenzie was on the show and he was talking about Carlos Adames being the likely victor in the Hamzah Sheeraz fight. I didn't think that. You didn't think that.
Yeah.
The scorecards potentially told a different story. What did you make of what we saw in that fight?
Hamzah Sheeraz, I spoke to Colin McMillan at the airport as well, actually, who's been with Hamzah right from the beginning as an advisor, trainer, great fighter back in the day, former WBO featherweight champion. And he said that Hamzah broke his hand in the 5th round. Frank Warren also highlighted that on the night, but you going, well, is Frank just
hang on, Spence. Let's hear from Frank, because he's spoken to that subject.
I've got to ask you about Hamzah, who we all love, but he looked to me in a very difficult fight tonight.
He broke his hand. I mean,
do you know what round he broke his hand in?
Very early in the fight. I don't know if they told me it's 3 or 4, but he busted. I mean, you can see it. He took his glove off. He's busted his hand, and I could see during the fight. Normally, he's very sharp with his right hand, you know, as he lets it go, and he just weren't. He was sort of putting it there rather than turning his shoulder, and obviously he couldn't do that with his hand. But then he tried that. You could see in the 11th round, the 12th round, you know.
And he was definitely more subdued than he normally is.
And I went round to the corner. I said, "You've got to win these last couple of rounds." One of the judges scoring, it's like a broken record now these days. I mean, was he give it?
8 at 118, 110 to Adames. We had it for Adames over on our side of the ring.
How many?
By about 6. But listen, he's your guy. You're always going to support him. Yeah, it was what you liked in the fight as well. But Hamzah, like you say, came through another battle, another travail with the broken hand, like you say, from early in the fight. So fought 8 rounds with a broken hand.
And the thing about him as well is that from a weight perspective, he looked really drawn. I think he's really, you know, you've got to look at the sides of him, the height of him. I don't know how he makes the weight, and I think we may have to think about that as well.
This is a very different discussion than the one that I was envisaging that we'd have it after the fight, because I wasn't privy to the fact directly after the fight that he'd broken his hand, because it was almost inexplicable to me, the performance that Hamzah had put into that fight, because I didn't see anything from him that I thought I was going to see. And I couldn't make head nor tail of what the judging scoring was, because it was wrong. I mean, he is very fortunate to have got a draw in that fight. The reasons may well be justified reasons, but one of the bigger questions that came out for me, alongside the explanation, which negates some of our opinions about what he did and didn't do, was how challenged he is by the weights. Spencer, do you think this is a thing in perpetuity for him, that he's going to be challenged to keep on making this weight?
Well, Frank obviously highlighted that it was a big struggle for him. He's 6'3".
Nobody heard about this before, by the way.
Yeah, he's 6'3". But I was going to say this, Simon. Through the week, you look great, you look healthy, you look full in the face. So I didn't think weight was even a talking point. Didn't think it was an issue.
I don't think it's weight at all, mate. What I think is, what Frank's highlighting there is, we're talking about a young lad here who's been on a 15-fight knockout streak. Look at the level of the guys that he's been knocking out. With all due respect, we're talking domestic, aren't we? Carlos Adames is a world champion, a proper world champion. That's Hamzah Sheeraz's biggest step up in his whole career. Now, for the first 4 rounds of that fight, I actually think he's doing okay, because he's tucking up well, he's defending well, catching a lot of stuff, jabs going out, and the right hand is following. So with Frank saying there around 3 or 4 is when he breaks his hand?
Well, I think it was around 5, and I was going to make the point which you're about to make, which is I think that Hamzah was doing all right in the first half of the fight, but he wasn't brilliant before he broke his hand.
No. The output is definitely low. There's no doubt about that, but the game plan was right. When he's broken that hand, if Frank's what he's saying to us, he's broken it around round 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all Adames rounds, because the output is so low. So now what Hamzah's got to do, and we've seen it with other fighters before, when Dubois stepped up, he was given a challenge against Joe Joyce, he fell. He's gone away, dusted himself off, he's come back. Gone to Usyk, he's fell, he's gone away. Now look at where he's at. Hamzah Sheeraz is going to learn a lot from that fight, because he's going to have got through the 12 rounds, and he's probably in the back of his head going, I should have thrown that, I should have done this, I should have done that. He's got all these questions now to go away and work on, get the hand fixed up, he'll come again. Absolutely. But the performance...
Should he push for a rematch?
I think that he should push for a rematch, but the question I was going to ask you, do you still think that he beats Chris Eubank Jr. on that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Because I'm sorry, but I'm not in the Chris Eubank PR department of thinking that Chris Eubank fights a live one. and we'll see what happens with him. But I'm also more interested to see
just on rematch. But whilst you were alluding to that, there, I think he's got to go away and win a fight of a decent standard before he gets to
not
rematch.
go straight back in with this one.
Let's be honest, it's not a draw, lads. It's diabolical scoring. It was diabolical scoring.
It was terrible scoring, and I had Carlos Adames clear winner in that
I've
fight.
got it 117, 111.
But it happens, and he's got away with a draw. That's great. You can go back. I do think he goes in for the immediate rematch, by the way, because I think that tactically he got it wrong against Adames. Forget the break of the hand in the 5th round. That was, if you go them rounds before that, he gave Adames too much respect. He went in there, and that leveling, stepping up in class, I think the whole occasion.
Well, he now knows the level, doesn't he?
Now he knows the level.
He now knows the level.
And I think that he can go back.
There was a moment of controversy besides the scoring, but reverberated around the scoring, which is Turki Alalshikh was in the corner shouting at Hamzah Sheeraz about the scorecards or the nature of the fact that he needs to win the next 2 rounds.
Well, he was saying 2 points, doesn't he? That's what he said.
Yeah.
He said 2 points.
I spoke about this earlier on another show where first of all, I don't think Turkey has an obligation to be neutral in anything other than the commercial negotiations he does with the fighters.
Yeah, fair.
I think he's shown patronage before. You know, he talks about his favourite fighters like Mark Chamberlain, which is hence the reason why Josh Padley got an opportunity potentially because he was in the front of people's minds. Are you concerned? I mean, I'm before people pile in on him, I think he's done more for the sport of boxing, for whatever reason. He's done more for the sport of boxing than anyone else has done in recent times.
Yeah.
So before I start making a judgment of whether this is inappropriate or there's something more sinister about it, I would like to hear what he has to say himself about the reasons why he felt the necessity to be in the corner shouting at a fighter.
Listen, I'll tell you why he was there, because he's passionate about it. He's an ambassador of Riyadh season. Hamzah Sheeraz.
Do you think it's the right look?
No. He's the promoter. And
I think the scorecards are a worse look.
Can I explain?
Yeah.
Can I explain why he's done that? Can I explain why Turkey's got up and done that? Because his emotions are there. He's emotionally involved with this guy. He's his promoter. And he's done the right thing there by jumping up. By the way, for anyone that's wondering, he's not seen any scorecards of any judges.
It's an opinion.
I'm going to put that to bed.
It's not his official thing,
So he's gone up, and what he's done is, by trying to motivate his fighter, he's going, right, my kid's behind. He's going, you're losing the fight by 2 rounds, which will ignite something in the fighter's brain. You need to pick it up. He's done the right thing. And all this conspiracy about Turkey's looked at the judges' scorecards and gone and told the fighter, that's absolute
No,
bullshit.
I agree with you. But if you're Carlos Adames and you're sitting there with being signed to a fight, to fight under this banner, and you're seeing the clear focus on one fighter rather than the other, you might find yourself a little bit more offended by him.
How many getting the opportunity against Hamzah Sheeraz?
He's a world title.
Yeah, no.
Hold on, he's the world title. He's not getting the opportunity.
Let me rephrase that. Right, what I'm saying is, Adames is getting the opportunity to fight on this Riyadh card season, and that is because Hamzah Sheeraz...
I'm playing devil's advocate because I don't have a particular problem with it, but there's lots of people that are reverberating around saying, hang on, this can't be right. I think Turki Alalshikh has done more for boxing in the last 2 years than everyone else put together. So I'm not really bothered about the optics of it.
He's not the first promoter that I have seen go to a fighter's corner and shout some instruction in some way, shape or form, whether it be you need to do more of this, you need to do more of that, or whatever it may be. Like you've just said, I think you've nailed it there, because people are making this automatic assumption in their head that he has the official score. That's not how I saw that video. I saw that video as a man going over and giving his opinion 2 points. That was his opinion.
The only bloody thing about it is everyone knows that people have significant influence, and you've got a set of scorecards that are pretty poxy, aren't they? So everyone's starting to get 2 and 2 together and making
the more alarming thing.
Whatever they want to make out of it.
The scorecards are the more alarming thing, because
But he has not seen those judges' scorecards. That is a fact.
I don't know what you guys think. I mean, I know that the cream of the crop with all of the substance that we gave it earlier on in the show was obviously Better Beer versus Bivol. But for me, the fight of the evening was the first fight.
Might be the fight of the year, mate.
Yeah. Callum Smith and Josh Buatsi.
You've got to give Callum Smith all the respect, because, man, I've got to tell you that I agree with you boys, right? That for me was the fight. It might not have had the levels of Better Beer and Bivol, but for sheer entertainment and where them two went, where you go like, and the way they were turning it around, that for me is fight of the year. What a fight!
I've no problem admitting that I got that massive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my judgment of Callum Smith coming into this fight was based on a large period of inactivity, waiting for the Beterbiev fight, getting beat comprehensively off Beterbiev. If you actually look at Callum's last 4 or 5 years, there's no real significant wins on there. You know, he beat George Groves 4 or 5 years ago, but the Canelo one, so there's nothing really to hold on to. Whereas Buatsi, it felt like the star was starting to rise. He was beating the domestic level operators, wasn't he? And doing it relatively well. So coming into this, he had the momentum. Listen, at home.
But this was a stark lesson for Josh, though, wasn't it? I mean, there were times in this fight where Callum made him look very one-dimensional. I felt there were
Callum
times...
was awesome.
He was absolutely awesome on every level. And to me, it looks like these are the byproducts, potentially, of fights against Willie Hutchinson and Dan Aziz, and then stepping in with a world-class operator that Callum Smith that's still got the motivation. And potentially the matchmaking problems of not fight, because I think Buatsi would beat Yard, irrespective of what Tunde says and what Anthony says, and I like both of them. I think Buatsi is more at a level with Yard than he is with Callum Smith, because Callum Smith is a world-class operator, and I'm not sure Anthony Yard is.
But in Buatsi's defence, off the back of this contest, like you say there with Callum Smith, and you look at that and you say, well, did he really have that right preparation with people like Dan Aziz and Willie Hutchinson? He showed a lot of character in there.
Oh, he did.
And at times in that fight where you thought he was totally gone, he turned it around.
Absolutely.
And had Smith totally in place. So you go,
he did.
His stock for me rose. But at Smith's level, he proved he proved that he's still very much at the
Buatsi
forefront.
showed us what I believed that he would have anyway, which is immense resilience.
Yeah.
But what he also showed us, there was a difference in class between Callum Smith and Josh Buatsi. Callum Smith is a class operator that flows class shots. And whereas Buatsi walked forward, took the shots, and he tried to physically outpower Callum Smith.
Yeah.
But the better operator in that fight, by a mile with respect to Josh, who I really like, was Callum Smith.
Yeah,
I think they underestimated. The Buatsi camp have underestimated just how good Callum Smith is on the inside, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
He's such a tall lad. You would automatically look at that and think, right, he's going to keep...
But he tells them. He told them before, I'm the best inside fighter
He's
at this
a
weight.
phenomenal inside fighter. He actually emulates his brother Paul's little left to the body. Normally it's the catch to
but he touches down and comes back up.
It's just gorgeous, mate.
That's like setting a trap, touching down, bring the elbow down, bam, over the top. But that hook is devastating. He showed us, Simon, that he still very much belongs at the top.
Absolutely. Where next? I mean, we've got Anthony Yard, buzzing around media studios now.
Do you want me to tell you the landscape? I'll tell you the landscape.
Yeah, tell me the landscape.
Right, because we've said at the top of this show, right? The top two, I only want to see them fighting each other. So Beterbiev, Bivol, part 3.
Yeah.
Okay? Callum Smith, David Benavidez.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do Callum Smith, David Benavidez. I don't think Buatsi...
So where's this leave Yard then?
Yeah.
Buatsi.
I think we can.
Okay.
Why
not?
I will take him now, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, hang on a minute. He's got to come through Linden
But he won't
Arthur
get the money. Isn't half the problem with Anthony the valuation of the fight?
Well, he's got to come through Linden Arthur. If he comes through that and he looks good, Buatsi stock's there. Let's go.
I think we get Callum Smith, Anthony Yard next. That's the fight that I think will be made.
On a Matchroom Queensbury 5v5 thing.
Yeah, but I like your ideas there. But yeah, we'll get that.
If I'm Anthony Yard, I just saw what I saw. I
fight.
don't fancy that fight.
Anthony Yard's going for it, mate. I was with him actually out there for that. He wants that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he will
because he wants the big fight.
will.
But if I'm Callum Smith, I want the best boys. Get me David Benavidez, because they're saying that he's next in line for Beterbiev Bivol. So let me go and beat him, and then I'll get the winner of the
I like that.
the
I
top
like
fight.
that route, but the other route is
Either
the one
which
that's likely
way,
to happen.
Callum Smith was brilliant, and whoever said that he couldn't win that fight was bloody wrong.